Hey everyone, I'm Manero here, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to paint a portrait with pastels using Procreate. So let's jump right into it. In order to achieve this, I'm going to be using my Epic Pastels brush set for Procreate. You can find it along with a free mini version for you to try out on my Gumroad page through the link in the top right corner of this video or in the description below. I'm also going to use this beautiful photo reference by Houcine Ncib. I will leave a link in the description as well, in case you want to follow along. The first thing I'm going to do is to import a pastel paper texture from the ones that are included in this set. The original reference has a lot of earthy tones, so I'm going to choose the paper texture called Fog that will work great as a color base. I'm also going to import a pastel texture sheet, but I will hide the layer for now. This layer needs to be set to overlay mode, and I will make this texture visible at the end of the painting to give it a nice touch of extra realism. On a layer on top of the paper texture, I'm going to use the messy sketcher brush to do a well thought sketch of the portrait, based on the photo I showed you before. As you can see, I'm taking my time on breaking down the head proportions and features, making sure that everything is in the right place, measuring the distance between the features, like the eyes, nose, and mouth, and sketching and erasing helping lines as I need them or not. Once my first general sketch is finished, I lower the opacity of the layer, and on a new one, I start refining the drawing on a more accurate sketch. In this final drawing, I'm paying more attention to the details, trying to make only the marks that are essential to the portrait. With that finished, I can start painting. On a layer below my drawing, I'm going to use the clean cut scatter brush to lay down the general color spots for the background. I'm also using the same brush with the smudge tool to blend those color spots in some areas. Notice that at any moment I'm covering the whole canvas. It is important to me that some of the paper texture is always showing through in some spots, because it will contribute for my painting to look like it was made with real pastels on physical paper. Next, I'm using the pastel pencil brush to mask the whole figure on a new layer. I did this with a brush instead of the selection tool, because I wanted the edges to have some of that pastel texture as well, to help keep things realistic at all times. Then I can hide and use this layer to select the area for the figure by selecting the content of the layer, but I'm going to paint on a different one. This way the paper texture will still play its part on this area of the painting. I'm using the clean cut scatter brush to paint the main spots of color inside the area for the figure. I find this process very fun and creative. I take the opportunity to introduce hue variation and interesting colors that I can observe in the original reference. Speaking of color, I'm limiting myself to choosing colors from the pastel color palettes that are included with this set. Again, I'm using the smudge tool with the same brush to blend some of those colors with each other. Now I'm using the selection tool to isolate the main areas of darker colors, like the shadows in the face and the facial features. With this part selected, I can use the same brush again to introduce darker colors, and this will immediately help me define the face. Now I'm doing the same thing for the eyebrows and the hair. Using what I have so far as a base, I'm going to start building up strokes of color all around the face, almost like sculpting the features. This is a long process that requires looking closely at the photo reference and trying to capture things like the light and the shadows, while also doing my best to capture the likeness. To get the likeness right, one of the most important parts of a portrait is the eyes, so I like to take care of them early in the painting. For that purpose, I'm using the pastel pencil brush that will allow me to define details more accurately. Defining the nose and the mouth is also important, so I'm taking care of those now. With the main features more or less defined, I can focus on slowly building the rest of the portrait, using the smudge tool anytime I feel like I need to blend the colors a bit in some areas, looking for softer transitions to help represent the smoothness of the skin. Here I work a little bit more on the hand and the contours of the face. I'm also defining the clothes in a loose way, with simple strokes. I don't want this area to catch too much the viewer's attention, because it's not that important. Now it's just a matter of adding the final details wherever they're needed, like adding little touches of highlight on the face, or defining some of the hair strands. At the end, I decided to use the liquify tool to reposition the features, trying to adjust the likeness as much as I could to the photo reference. Here's a cool trick. To do the freckles, I used the finger messy scatter one brush in a very small size, and by building up the texture, adding different skin colors and using a bit of the blending tool, I think the result looks pretty convincing. And this is the final painting. I really hope you liked this video. If you use my brushes and post your art on social media, feel free to use the hashtag Manero brushes so that I can see what you create. I will be extremely happy to share your creations with my audience. Don't forget to subscribe for more art-related videos and give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure to check out my Gumroad page, where you will find the Epic Pastels brush set for Procreate, and many other sets and freebies that I have available. I'm sure something will suit your artistic needs. All the links are in the description below. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next time.